Everyone, welcome to another video from Joe's Finance Fundamentals. Today I'm going to talk about 401k basics. First, a quick disclaimer that this information is intended only to provide general financial education. The information and opinions within should not be regarded as objective facts. This does not provide financial, tax, legal, or any professional advice, and personal decisions should not be implemented based on the content of this channel without first consulting a licensed professional. Okay, a 401k account is a retirement savings account offered by many employers. Given that most employers do not offer pensions anymore, the 401k is a key tool to save money for retirement. Most companies also offer a company match, which works as follows. For every dollar you contribute, they will contribute a certain percentage. So this is free money available to you from your employer. For example, if a company matches 100% of your contributions up to 5%, what that means is if you contribute 5% of your salary into your 401k account, they will contribute the same amount, 100%. For example, if you make $50,000 a year, 5% would be $2,500. So if you contributed that to your 401k, your company will match that with $2,500. If you contribute less than 5%, the company will match less. And if you do not contribute, of course, the match will be zero. If you contribute more than 5%, in this example, their company match is maxed out at 5%. So if you can contribute 6, 7, 8% up to the annual contribution limit, but the company match will be capped at 5%. Again, just using these example numbers, your company's match will probably be different. Most companies nowadays automatically enroll you into their 401k and sometimes also increase it each year. Your contributions to your 401k are pre-tax, which means you do not pay federal tax on those earnings. So, in the previous example where you make $50,000 a year, contribute $2,500, your taxable income is $47,500. You will not get taxed on that $2,500. The company contributions are also pre-tax, but that has no impact on your taxable income. If you start early in your career investing into your 401k, your money could grow, probably will grow, into a sizable nest egg by the time you are ready to retire due to the power of compounding. So it's kind of one of those things where you set it and forget it. And I would, as an aside, recommend when you get raises to kind of review what your raise equates to, say in monthly increase, say $200 a month or whatever the case may be. And you can also calculate fairly easily, what each percentage of your salary equates to. So let's say you're contributing 5% into your 401k and you get a raise, $250 a month. You could say, well, if I increased my contribution to 6%, maybe that would be $50 a month. And you're still getting more money from your raise, but you're taking a little bit of that, plucking it into your 401k. I used to do that as much as I could during my time in the corporate world, and again, was able to grow personally my 401k into a pretty nice nest egg by the time I left the corporate world. These regular monthly contributions also take advantage of dollar cost averaging, which means you'll buy more shares when the market is lower. So I've talked about this in previous videos, as I have about the power of compounding. And when you have a long time horizon, it's not the worst thing in the world that the market is lower, because if you're making regular investments every month, for example, through your 401k, you'll be buying more shares. So buy low. That's a good thing. Now you want to look over the investment options in the 401k carefully. So you're kind of restricted to what the company options are. And usually they'll go with a well-known mutual fund company like a Fidelity or Schwab or Vanguard, and they'll provide you different options where you can invest your 401k. Now, usually the default option nowadays, and it wasn't this way when I was working, but usually the default option now is a target date mutual fund, which invests heavier in stocks when you are younger, modifies this over time to a more balanced investment as you get older. So if you're kind of a hands-off person, don't want to be really involved in worrying about your 401k and what it is investing in, a target date mutual fund is probably a pretty good option. Now, another 401k option some companies have started offering is called a Roth 401k. And if you're familiar with a Roth IRA, it works very similarly. So it's different than the traditional 401k I just talked about because your contributions are after tax, meaning you do not get an immediate tax benefit. The good news is all of your earnings are tax-free, which means after you pay your tax on the contribution that you make every month, you do not have to pay taxes on any money, any earnings that accrue in that account for the rest of your life. So if you end up with a pretty nice nest egg, let's say it's a regular 401k, any money you start withdrawing in that in retirement is taxable income. For a Roth 401k, any money you start withdrawing from that account in your retirement is tax-free. So it may be a good idea, and this is what I've have in my retirement accounts, is I have a combination of retirement assets that are tax deferred before tax, like a traditional 401k and maybe a traditional IRA. So I got the immediate tax benefit up front, but that money now, when I start withdrawing it, when I start in retirement, I'll have to pay tax. That'll be part of my taxable income. So I have some retirement assets in those types of accounts and others in tax-free. I don't have a Roth 401k, but I have Roth IRA, where you've paid the taxes already up front on your contributions and you never pay taxes again. Now, in closing, a couple of other remarks. One is, I mentioned earlier, pay attention to the annual contribution limits on your 401k. There are penalties for early withdrawals. I think you have to be at least 59 and a half to start withdrawing money. And there may be a couple of exceptions that you might want to look into. But generally, if you can leave that money alone, I'd recommend you do so. Now, very important, that 401k, even though it's through your company, it's your 401k. So when you leave that company, you can leave it right where it is, or you can roll it over. And that's what I did when I left, worked for companies and then left. I would roll it over into the mutual fund company that I had all my other assets at. So for me, it happens to be Vanguard, as I've mentioned before in previous videos. So I would take my 401k and roll it over into a Vanguard IRA. And once that rollover IRA is established, you can, if you work for another company and you left them and you had 401k assets, you can roll that right into the same rollover IRA. So effectively, you have one 401k in that way. Let's say I work for 3 different companies. Instead of having 3 401k accounts, which each of those companies, I could roll it over into a one IRA. And lastly, as you may have noticed in my bio, after I left the corporate world, I did have a small company that I ran for about 7 years. And I think you probably could I could have set up a 401k, but there's a lot of administration required. So for small companies, there is something called a simple IRA. And there's other options along those lines as well. But I researched and started a simple IRA for my employees and for myself. And it basically worked very, very similar to a 401k. So if you're self-employed and you don't want to go through the administrative work of setting up a 401k, you only have a few employees, something like a simple IRA might work for you. So I hope you found that helpful, and give me a like and sub up, and have a great day.